What's going on, guys? So we're going to find out how good the Seattle Kraken will be their first year in the NHL using the NHL 20 sim. Now for the team, I'm actually using the exact same team I made with my mock draft video about a month ago, so if you guys didn't see that one, go check it out. But next I'll actually just kind of show you what the team looks like in game. I try to make the Seattle Kraken logo jerseys best I could. So right there you have the Seattle Kraken, 88 overall. You can see we got the S there. You know, not quite as cool as the actual logo, but kind of the best we could do in game here. So I'm looking at logos and branding again. You can see the logo, it's like that light blue, almost teal color. I have a navy blue and red outlines for the other two colors. Then I got the anchor there. It doesn't have, you know, the Space Needle built into it, but we do have the anchor. White just for the away shoulder patches, navy blue there. For the home, you can see the three main colors there, navy blue, light blue, and red. Again, the light blue is like an almost teal. It's such a unique color. Tried to match it best I could here in game. Now, I started making these, I realized I accidentally was doing the away on the home, so I just left it. But I right there, look at the away jersey again. I'm looking at it here. I don't think that's too bad. We got the S, we got the right colors on the sleeves. The socks are pretty close. The pants, a little spin here. You guys can see the numbers, navy blue with the light blue outline. If I went up to the shoulder patches, you'd see it's so small because I basically used the Norfolk Admirals ECHL logo and just kind of got rid of everything else. So there's like a little anchor on the shoulder patch there, barely noticeable. But overall, I think the way looks pretty sharp. Right there, you can have a look at the home again. I think it turned out pretty good. We are missing like the red line along the bottom, but other than that, like I'm looking at the jerseys here, I feel like we got the colors down pretty good. The numbers from what I've seen are going to be like a light blue with a sort of tealish outline. I'm not sure if they'll actually end up going white or not, but again, I think, it turned out pretty well. And like I mentioned before, guys, I'm using the team from my mock draft video, so if you missed that one, don't feel like going and watching it. Here's a quick look at everyone we drafted. I'm not sure who the 4 defensemen are we're missing there, but you'll see once we get started. So overall, like, it's a pretty solid team. I tried to do a mix of, like, kind of once we had a solid, like, 20 guys for the NHL team, I basically focused on just more prospect players. You don't really need to kind of a decent, 83 overall scratch. So we actually still have probably enough players that we can make some trades or whatever. But for this, I'll actually be simulating all the way up until the 2021 off season, which is where Seattle Kraken start their draft, can make some trades or whatever. Plus, too, I'll let the computers make trades. The NHL landscape will be different. Some of these guys will go up in rating, some of them will go down. And we'll see what happens. And unfortunately, guys, there's no way to put a custom team in the game as the 32nd expansion team without doing the expansion draft. So we basically have to sub out a team to make sure we get the right players. Detroit this year was the worst team in the league by far, so I feel like we'll just pretend that they get relegated here. We'll sub in Seattle. We'll definitely have to move around the divisions a bit. I'm thinking, honestly, we'll probably just leave Atlantic with 7. I think that makes probably the most sense. Of course, Seattle will then go with Pacific. I'm not sure if you guys actually saw the top players there. I think it was like PK Subban, David Perron, Joe Pavelski. So, like, again, we have some players. Seattle right now is in the Atlantic. That's not going to work. So, we'll put Seattle in the Central. Actually, we have to have 8 teams in the Atlantic. That's going to mess it up for sure. So, Seattle goes in the Pacific. We need Arizona in the Central. They can't be Atlantic. Chicago's, pretty close to Detroit. I think they're the most Eastern team of the ones available. Plus, 2, they kind of take over for Detroit's spots in the original 6 team in the Atlantic. Seattle, here you can see, 88 overall. Actually ties them with Vegas, the highest rated team in the Pacific, which pretty crazy for an expansion team. I just realized actually the 2 highest rated teams in the Pacific are both the expansion teams. Like, that's unreal. So like I said, guys, I'm just simming the first 2 seasons. That way we get to the 2021 draft and Seattle actually joins the NHL. But I figured I might share with you kind of what's going on. Very strange year. Ottawa there picking first overall via New York Islanders. So they get Lafreniere. You can see Buffalo there won the Stanley Cup. How they pulled that off, I'm not sure. You might notice Pavelski, 27 points, 24 games. It's a lot of playoff points. That's because I was worried Seattle was going to win the Cup our first year. We actually got swept there in the Stanley Cup final by the Sabres. We took out the Flames in 6, Canucks in 7, Wild in 7. I really didn't want them to win the Cup because, like, they don't exist yet. So, like, this team, their ratings aren't going to be what they actually are when the team finally gets drafted. So I'm glad we didn't win the Cup. But definitely a little too close for comfort there. Team awards, you can see Pittsburgh won Presidents. I guess we did win the Western Conference, which is what Vegas did too their first year. But again, technically this isn't our first year. We're not supposed to exist, but there's no way to just kind of jump into franchise 2 years down the road. I had to sim through it, but because it was such a strange year, I figured I'd share a little bit of it with you guys. But like I said, we're just going to keep simming here until we get to the 2021 draft. And look at this, guys. I'm at the draft right now. Sharks just picked up Askarov with the 26th pick. I think that's the latest I've ever seen him go. Also, Hurricanes here got a medium elite player at 29. What a steal. For our pick, I just threw it away. Picked a low HL starter goalie as we're not supposed to exist. So I want to make sure this first draft we get nobody. Alright guys, so now at the 2021 NHL Entry Draft, which is actually when Seattle will be joining the NHL. I think they get the 4th best odds at first overall pick. As you can see, we actually missed the playoffs this time, so we had the 9th best odds and dropped to 10, but it's like whatever, that player's not going to play on the team anyways. Edmonton wins first overall, so they're going to get ratty there. Philly second, Tampa third, surprisingly. Columbus was the worst team, dropped to fourth. That was actually, sorry, the Devils picks. The Devils were the worst team. That's got to hurt. I'm not sure what trade they made. The Ducks there, Stanley Cup champions. So 2 teams that weren't even in the play-in round. Like, what was it? 24 teams made the play-in, and 2 of the teams that weren't even a part of that won the Cups, the Sabres, the Ducks. I'll give you guys a quick look here at the awards. I guess the playoff tree, too. So this is leading the season, like I said, right before Seattle joins. They beat Coyotes in 7, Vegas in 6, swept Canucks, Panthers in 6. The Panthers is a strange one for sure. They beat the Penguins there. Eastern Conference Final. Quick look here at the awards. Toronto actually won President's Trophy. Individual, Draisaitl Art Ross Trophy. Again, you also got the Hart. Yandel, James Norris. Big year for him. Huberdeau. Okay, so Panthers playing pretty good. Lafreniere with the Calder. I could definitely see that happening. Playing with the Rangers. Hellebuck here with the Vezina. I think he's got a really good shot at this year. He's probably my pick. He also got the William Jennings playing on the Jets there. Hamonic's now on the Montreal Canadiens. Vegas coach Jack Adams, O'Reilly Selke, 3rd straight year. Draisaitl, Ted Lindsay, Patty Kane, Ray Richard. So we get started with the draft now. Again, I don't think any of the players we take are going to, matter much, but we can actually start making trades and stuff if we want to. I guess I should show you guys kind of what the team's looking like in terms of all of our ratings. So Pavelski actually went up 1. He's 87. Perron Subban stayed the same, 86 after 2 years. Virtanen's now an 86. So if this happens, I feel like Vancouver probably protects him, but it's hard to say whether or not that's going to happen 2 years out, or I guess a year and a half out. Shea, Brody, Granlund, they're all about the same. Janssen up a couple. Cholowski here, I've just been burying him in the AHL, playing him bottom pair, so he's still actually grown a bit. Larson up to an 82. Wenberg and Jost both went up 1. Carter stayed the same. Juleson's an 81. Kunin, Mata. So we have a bunch of guys that are kind of like fringe AHL, maybe NHL. Miller there in the AHL, 82. Tierney. Bellows now an 81. Achari, Appleton. Anderson's a 78. So we got some guys to move. Jones there, 78. In terms of goaltending, Rant is 85 still. Jones is 82. I'll probably trade Jones, clear up $5 million there in cap space. In the AHL, we got DeSmith still going to be the backup. So, like I said, let's see what we can do here at the draft, make some trades, and see how Seattle does in their official first year. Alright, guys, so I'm going to make our 10th overall pick. After that, I'll probably just send the rest of the draft, as like I said, it's not going to matter for the 1-year sim. Luke Hughes is still there, same with Lambos. Wallstedt, I mean, Seattle could do that and have their goalie of the next, decade. Chake is not too bad. Wow, who would you go with here? I feel like, Luke Hughes. Let's go with Luke Hughes. Sometimes he turns out really good, other times not too much, because in this game his rating's lower, but I think that'd be a pretty cool pick. Wallstedt's also an option, though. Like, you have your goalie kind of, like I said, for the future, but who knows what they'll do. So we're not the free agency period here, guys. As you can see, we've got 3 guys on the block: Jones, Carter, and Achari. Jones is just a really expensive backup, making $5 million for 3 more years. Again, the reason I took him in the draft was basically because San Jose had nothing else, and I figured kind of just like a goalie insurance policy. If maybe Ranch doesn't play too good, Jones could find his form. And I think, too, I said that San Jose would be giving us like a 2nd-round pick to take his contract. Carter and Achari there, lower rated, 1 year left. Don't really need them on the team. We can get picks or something. I feel like Seattle would do that. So the other thing, too, with Seattle is they can, go and sign guys in free agency after the draft happens. Most of the guys they would want, you'd think they might pick. Kaprizov, 86 RFA. Dougie Hamilton, 10.8. We got $10 million right on, so Dougie Hamilton we're probably not going to get. You could even think, too, maybe Carolina protects him. They think they're going to sign him, but negotiations go south and he ends up going to free agency. I feel like that could happen. Stroman RFA. Athens, he was a guy who could sign Tatar, Nugent Hopkins. Dustin Byfuglien's still there. Foligno, Anderson, Sod. So before we do that, let's try and see if we can trade some of our extra guys, and then we actually could be pretty active in free agency. Goaltending-wise, what's that looking like? Sorokin's there, not signed with the Islanders. Tuukka Rask. And when we have Rantu as an 85, Hovey there's only an 84. He went way down. Lundqvist still an 85. So really, Sorokin and Rask would be the only upgrade. Might not even be worth it, really. This is an interesting one, guys. A year after winning the Stanley Cup, Buffalo's now a rebuilder. They're interested in Martin Jones here, trying to get a 3rd-round pick. I noticed that they actually have no goalies, so I mean, they could sign one in free agency, but maybe we just get a 3rd here for Jones. They say yes, so I feel like if Seattle could pull that off, get San Jose to pay them a 2nd to take Jones's contract, and then flip him for another pick, even if they have to retain a bit of salary, I think that'd just be such a good move for them. And next year, guys, we're offering Olli Mata to Carolina Hurricanes for a 2nd-round pick, making $3.5 million, 1 year left, 81 overall. Kind of just like Vegas did. We have some extra defensemen we don't need, some extra forwards as well. Why not just trade them away, get some picks, stock up early. Vegas did this exact same thing. No reason to think Seattle won't do it too. And I feel like we're honestly kind of fleecing some teams here. I noticed we have 16 forwards that are now 80 plus. So we just have so much depth. Really don't need a lot of these guys, especially a guy like Jeff Carter, 36.81. He'd probably be the toughest to move, but should be able to do it. And next, you guys trying to send Carter back to California, offering him to the Ducks for a second rounder. And Ducks say no to that. Okay, I mean, he does, have a bit of a more expensive contract, older age. Third round pick gets it done. So, again, we just got rid of basically just extra players. Still have a very solid team. You can see 2022 will have a few second round picks, a few thirds. 2022 also has a sick, top 3 players in Wright, Savoy, and Lambert. So I'm sure Seattle, if they're not competitive, is going to want to be part of that draft, trying to get a high pick. Definitely they're going to be poised to be in a good situation either way. And what's kind of crazy, guys, after those trades, we actually have $20.5 million in cap space. So, I mean, if Seattle does have that money, they could throw an offer out on a big name free agent like Dougie Hamilton. You can see he's 90 overall here. $11 million for 7 years? Kind of like how, Vegas was trying to go after Carlson. Except instead of a trade, we're just trying to pay him. We have the money, let's go after it. We still have $9 million. I'm thinking we go for Nuge or Athanasiou. Athanasiou is a couple years younger in this. He's actually higher rated, but 5 teams interested. Might be harder to get him. I say we go for Nugent Hopkins, a really good, two-way guy, 6'5" for 3 years. After that, we don't really need a goalie, like I said. I think, Ranta was good enough. And we'll basically have, only a few $1 million left in cap space. So if we could get, a big-name free agent before we even actually play our first official game, that'd be kind of nuts. Holtz goes to the Islanders for Josh Bailey. Wow, that's a big trade. Obviously, Holtz should be a top 10 pick this year, 2020. A couple second-rounders there for Granlund. See, this is the thing, too. Like, if I'm Seattle, I have the depth. Granlund's an 83, but we have a bunch of 82s that are younger. I'd probably say yes to that deal. As you can see, I just did. Just have even more, picks now. I'm signing a bunch of AHL players here. I noticed we're kind of low on them. I was trying not to basically keep a bunch of Red Wings players. More AHL guys there. Let's see if we can actually... 2 second-round picks for Miller in a third. I'm pretty sure we could afford to do this too. So we're going to say yes here. I think we actually only have 6 defensemen now, but if we get Dougie Hamilton, we'll be good for sure. Anders Lee, the Islanders are just trading everybody, going full rebuild. First round pick, McLennan, not too bad a return. Dougie Hamilton does sign with Seattle. That'd be unreal. Nuge, though, goes with the Sharks. Okay, so Lundell. Imagine this. Oh, wow. We have to go up a lot, though. Ghost and Perron for Lundell in a couple seconds. I don't know. I feel like you could probably get a first for both those guys, especially if, Seattle believes in them. They play well. Maybe you're not in a playoff spot at the deadline, but, they look pretty good. We still have $17 million in cap space after Dougie Hamilton because we made that Granlund and Miller trade. Could we sign someone here? We definitely could. I could bring Charo to Seattle. I mean, who's really worth signing here? Jaden Schwartz might be a nice, signing. A lot of people thought actually he could be who Seattle gets in the expansion draft. I think our defense is definitely good with Hamilton. Foligno, 85. I kind of like Schwartz, so he's 29. He's a guy that, he could stick with the team for a bit. Maybe throw him 5.5 or 4 years. You get him. You still have like $10 million in cap space. Obviously, cap space is huge. No reason to really spend to the cap in our first year. And look at this. Carter's now offering us Lundell for Perron and Brody. Plus, they're giving us a second rounder. I mean, we got Hamilton, so maybe you can afford to give up Brody. That's a really good return. Both those guys 1 year left. Maybe, they end up just leaving the team. They don't stay with us. Kind of like how Neil and Perron both left Vegas. I feel like if this happened in real life, Seattle says yes. So we'll say yes. Especially, too, I think Schwartz could come in and just replace Perron if he accepts our deal, which would be kind of nuts. Went with LA. Wow, okay. So we're the new team. People maybe doubting us. They don't know if we can be the next Vegas. We have $24 million in cap space, though. I feel like we got to bring in at least a couple of guys. Joe Thornton, be a veteran for the young dudes. 85 overall. Do like 1 year at 4.5. I feel like this is already getting a little out of hand, but who knows? Like, who really knows what kind of trades and stuff Seattle's going to get from teams, as I think they're going to have a ton of really good players they could pick. So maybe even if it's not so much we pick a guy then trade him, but the trades are making this kind of stuff that happens in order to not, take those players. Foligno would be another nice veteran too. Add him with Pavelski. Could sign both those guys. Still have like $15 million in cap space. Foligno 2 is probably like a nice third liner. Maybe we do something more like a 2 year, 5.5, so he's like 35. So Joe Thornton does accept his offer. Hopefully we can get him his first Stanley Cup. Obviously, former captain. Same with Foligno. So a lot of leadership on this team, which is good. We got some older guys, some younger guys. Hopefully it works out. And next year, guys, making one more trade. I noticed that we actually have just too many good forwards. I remember in real life, Vegas had like Shibashev in the AHL, some other decent guys, but I know they also traded some guys and they realized, they weren't going to make the team. They didn't want them to rot in the AHL if they had value. Kind of the case for us. So Tierney no longer has potential. He's one of the older guys, 82 at 27. Perlini, 25, 82 is kind of just behind him. Boston wants both. We can get a first round pick. which we do, that'd be amazing. And you never know, maybe Boston misses the playoffs and that turns into Shane Wright. Alright guys, so it's now officially the start of Seattle Kraken's first year in the NHL. As you can see here, team status is hopeful, which is kind of strange. Before I made that trade, Tierney and Perlini for first, it was actually contender, but neither of those guys were playing in the NHL. Like, one was scratched, the other was in the AHL. I don't know how it works. As you can see, we're actually getting a lot of chemistry, and I think the team looks really good, especially considering the fact we have, 3 second-round picks, 3 thirds, 2 first-round picks. We got Lundell now on the team as a really good prospect. Like, it's kind of insane how good this team is and still how good the future is going to be. And I think if Seattle can pull that off, be competitive while also building for the future, they're going to be in a great spot. So, first line here, we have Palat playing with Pavelski. Virtanen, again, Virtanen's up to an 86. He's grown a ton. He's only got high top 9 potential, but he's played well. Janssen playing with Wenberg and Bellows there, so pretty solid second line, also getting a +3. You then have Joss there playing with Foligno and Appleton. Fourth line, you got Sprong playing with Thornton and Kunin. So, again, tons of depth. Really no superstar. The closest thing would be Pavelski, but kind of like Vegas Golden Knights, it was a team with a lot of depth. Again, didn't really have a superstar kind of until Carlson emerged, Marchescu emerged, but they had tons of depth. Defense, honestly, kind of the same thing, except for our huge signing to Dougie Hamilton. Got him paired up with our Brady Shea, so 2 former Hurricane defensemen on that top pair, again a +3. Ghost and Subban, 2 guys that kind of had down seasons this year, but playing together, maybe they'll do well. Both 86. Juleson, Larson, 2 younger guys that are kind of slowly developing in NHL defensemen. Hopefully at this point they actually are, especially, if Seattle's able to pick them up. Obviously, too, I don't think I mentioned, but everyone on this team we took from the expansion draft except for Hamilton was in free agency. Same goes for Foligno and Thornton. Goaltending-wise, we still have Ranta there as a starter, just Smith backing him up. Quick look at the special teams. First unit there gets a +3 for the power play. So, I mean, the first year we somehow, made it to the Cup final but didn't count. Second year missed the playoffs again, didn't count. This is the year that actually matters. In the AHL, we got Anderson there as the first line center. Lundell's playing second line left wing. So, like I was saying, still got some good youth. Jones-Zaboral, top pair in the AHL. Sider shouldn't be there, but it doesn't matter. It's AHL. Goaltending-wise, we actually don't even have any more extra goalies. We traded away Martin Jones. So, I think it's actually, just Jones-Zaboral and then Anderson, Lundell for players that are actually kind of from the team in the AHL. But those are some good guys that could definitely be making the team next year. You got guys like Palat, 1 year left. We wanted to could trade him away at the deadline, but I'll probably just roll with this team, see what happens with it. If you're curious too what the captaincy decided to, give it to some of those veterans. So I think Pavelski is wearing the C, and you got Thornton and Foligno there wearing a couple A's. Again, lots of leadership, I think, some good young players. It's going to be tough for teams to decide, really, who to keep. Like, a guy like, the Appletons, the Bellows, are they going to be far enough along that they're worth keeping, or are they going to think, they really haven't developed into much yet? Maybe we just, let them be exposed in the draft, see how we can take them. Ratings here, 91 offense, pretty good, 94 defense, 85 goaltending. That's supposed to be Dougie Hamilton there as our best player. If you guys wanted to see kind of what the jersey looked like in that screen, there you go. I think they actually, didn't turn out too bad. So we'll start simming here and find out just how good Seattle Kraken does in their first official year. Can they make a repeat of Vegas, make the Cup final, potentially even win it all? Check out this trade offer, guys. Braden Shen and Riley Nash for PK Subban. I'm going to say no just because it's way too unrealistic, but honestly, I could have said yes. We're about, halfway through November, almost December, a little over 500, so really not doing the best. And look at this, guys. Pretty big trade just went down. Hiddle going to Buffalo in exchange for a first and second going to New York. Hiddle gets a pretty solid return there for the Rangers. You can see we're a couple weeks away, currently 37, 15, and 4. When I showed you guys our record back in November, we were just barely above 500. In October, I think we were actually just under 500. So we've been playing really good hockey past, 2.5, 3 months. Bozak, Kulak in a third to Florida. Montreal gets Heponiemi. That's a really good return, I think. And I think this is like the 4th time St. Louis is trying to trade us Shen for Subban. Again, in real life, I think it's a no-brainer accept, but because I'm trying to use a somewhat realistic Seattle team, I'd like to reject any not realistic trades. Manson goes to Montreal, a couple second-round picks. Montreal's made a couple nice trades, I think. Furk and Brown for a second and a fourth. We have more offensive depth than we could need. Really, all we have to do at this point is add superstars, kind of like the Vegas model, right? They had that depth, then they went and got Max Pacioretty, Mark Stone. They tried, to make a play for Erik Karlsson. I think the same is going to happen with Seattle. Like, they're going to have more than enough depth. They're just going to have to try and make some trades work where they can add those superstar pieces, because those are the pieces that they can't get from the expansion draft. You can get as much depth as you need. Honka goes to Vancouver. Dallas gets Wu, which is actually kind of surprising. So about a week away now. Big win there against Edmonton. To Foley for a second. I mean, to Foley for a second seems like a pretty good offer. He'd have to be at least like an 85. He's an 82. Okay, never mind. I thought he would have been, 84, 85. Could jump in the top 6, but We got 82s on the 4th line. Really no reason to make that trade. As you can see, currently first in the division. I think we're on like a 3-game win streak. Can we keep it going against Minnesota? As we speak about Minnesota, JVR to Minnesota, Spurgeon to Philly. That's a really interesting trade. They're both a little bit overpaid in my opinion, making about $7 million. Minnesota must have needed a forward. Philly needs a defenseman. I feel like Minnesota, though, has enough wingers. If anything, they'd be looking for a center, like maybe a Spurgeon for Kevin Hayes kind of trade. Hayes has actually played pretty well. I'm not sure if he's still worth that $7 million, but he definitely showed it's not, too bad of a contract. Hamilton, leading scorer on our team, 73 points, 63 games. We're first in the division there, 7-point lead on the Flames. So yeah, this team's looking pretty good in their inaugural season. And check this out, guys. It's now the end of the season. We have a 53, 23-6 record for 112 points. We just set a record for the most points ever in an expansion team's first year. Previously held by the Vegas Golden Knights. They had 109 with a 51, 24-7 record. So Seattle did even better than Vegas in their first year. You can see we actually finished the year with a 7-1 win over Vegas. I am curious, who will be more of a rival for Seattle? Will it be Vancouver just because geographically they're the closest, or will it be Vegas because it's the most two recent expansion teams, both in the Pacific, trying to show which expansion team's better? Probably Vancouver, but you never know. Dougie Hamilton at almost 100 points. That's ridiculous. 8-point lead there on the Flames. I think I saw Penguins President's Trophy winner, 121. That's pretty good year for Pittsburgh. We'll see who actually led the team in scoring after Hamilton. Palat, 89, over point per game. Pavelski, 2. Even at 85, those guys both got to be going up. For Tannen, 71, continues to just crush it. Ghost, pretty good year. Kiefer Bellows, 53. He's coming along quite nicely. Brady Shea put up 50. Same with Wenberg. Thornton for 45, having 43 points, isn't bad at all. Janssen, Joss both had 42. So team's looking pretty good. We'll see how Ranta did in terms of his stats. .898, so not even a .9 kind of sucks. Goals against just under 3, but pretty solid record there. I guess we take a quick look at the AHL team too, to see how the guys we got from the expansion draft did. Lundell, we traded for 45. Zaboral, 40. It's pretty solid. Anderson, 39. Caleb Jones, 37. Okay, so, those guys, like I said, should be making the NHL team next year. We'll see who led the entire league in points. Tyler Seguin, 106. Ovi there, 57 goals, tied Seguin. Hamilton was 4th in scoring, he was a defenseman, so I feel like Dougie Hamilton should be a lock here for the Norris Trophy. Let's check defensive scoring. And yeah, Erik Karlsson, though, 84, pretty close. John Carlson there, 70, but I feel like it's got to go to Dougie. I'll take a quick look here and see who finished last in the entire league. I see LA had 71. They probably got a good chance at it. So it looks like we were 2nd in the league, just behind Pittsburgh. We'll take that, though. I mean, our first year in the league, can't complain. Anaheim squeaks in the playoffs, 18th. Vegas squeaks in at 19. We actually might be playing Vegas first matchup. It'd be kind of sick. St. Louis, 56 points. So maybe that's why they're trying to trade Shen, get out of his contract. Then they're going to flip Subban or something. I think I did see that they fired their coach, and 34.6 win percentage. That's rough. So I was right, guys. In the first round of the playoffs, up against the Vegas Golden Knights, expansion team versus expansion team. That'd be pretty sick, I think. Just gonna take a look here and see if they got any new players. Cole Perfetti, they took in the draft. 2nd line center already. That's pretty nuts. The rest of the top 6, though, is the same. Carlson's now 3rd line, playing with Glass and Tuck. That top 9's actually really nasty. All they added was Perfetti and Glass, so a couple young guys, and just gave them so much depth. 4th line there is all right. Doesn't matter. That top 9's really good. Theodore, though, is still their number 1. Haven't really added much. Jay Bomeister, hopefully he's still playing at this point, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Fleury, 83. They lost Leonard. 81. Dell backing him up. Okay, so goaltending, we have the advantage. Defense, we have the advantage. Offense, I'd say they do. So, I mean, 2 out of 3, we beat them. And in playoffs, I'd say goaltending is the most important thing in real life. In the playoff sim, honestly, I have no idea what it does, because sometimes you have the much better team. It doesn't matter. So, yeah, offense, we're 3 worse. Defense, 7 better. Goaltending there, 2 better. Luckily, we're not playing the games, because it's going to be white versus white, because I made that jersey mess up, but whatever. So we'll just sim here a couple of games at a time, see how this Seattle team can do. I'm really happy they made the playoffs first year, because it kind of be boring otherwise. So first game in Seattle, 4-3 OT win, 3-1 win. Obviously, it's tough to play in Vegas. In the playoffs here, let's see what happens. 6-3 win. We're crushing Vegas right now. We're showing who's the better expansion team. We sweep Vegas. Let's go. And speaking of our rivals, guys, look at this. 2nd round matchup, Vancouver Canucks. I love it. Back-to-back rival series. Taylor Hall is a Vancouver Canuck. He was a free agent in the 2020 offseason, like he'll be in real life. If Canucks sign him, I don't know where they got the cap space to sign him. I honestly have no idea. Or maybe he signed a 1-year deal and they got him in 2021 offseason, but however they pulled it off, that's a sick first line. Peterson, Besser. Virtanen's actually on the Canucks as well. Unfortunately, there's no way to add a custom team without like not having duplicates, unless it would be like a whole mess. So unfortunately, yeah, there's duplicates. Horvat and Miller. So yeah, solid top 6. But Coles is only an 82. But still, they got a pretty good bottom 6. Quinn Hughes up to a 91. They also got Ghost somehow, so they must have made a trade. Cholowski, Myers, Martinez, Cuckoo. Demko's the starter now. Markstrom's the backup. All right, so that team's pretty nasty, especially that Hull-Peterson combo. I have no idea how they pulled it off in terms of the salary cap. Like, they must have bought out Eriksson or somewhat traded him. I didn't see that, though. Maybe he retired? I don't think he did, though. I don't know. They pulled off some magic. I'll give Benning credit there. So, first 2 games, again, we're in Seattle. Will be a home ice advantage unless we see Pittsburgh in the Stanley Cup final. Unfortunately, we lose the first 2 games. Head to Vancouver now. You know, not too long a road trip. 4-2 win, 3-1 loss. So not a good spot. We're down 3-1. Currently, every single playoff series in the second round is 3-1. So can we be one of the teams to come back, make it happen? I'd say we'll start simming period by period because it is do or die at this point. First period here, not good. 3-1 for them. Wenberg scores for us. We get another one from Sprong. Can we make it happen here? One more goal in the third. We got our goal from Virtanen. Unfortunately, though, Besser eliminates us there from the playoffs. I mean, still not a bad run at all. Makes it to the second round in our inaugural season. Again, pretty cool too, I think, that we went up against Vegas, then Vancouver, the 2 rival teams. I'll take it. And talking about weird sims, guys, the Florida Panthers just won the 2022 Stanley Cup. So we went Buffalo, Anaheim, Florida. I would bet, well, I mean, literally Buffalo cannot win this year. So I was going to say I'd bet any money. That's not how the next few years are going to be. But yeah, it's impossible. St. Louis gets first. They were the last team, so that's good. Edmonton second. So they get Ratty, and now they're going to get Savoy, most likely. That's ridiculous. We're actually picking 4th there via the Boston pick. I was talking about that pick. It had the second best odds. I totally forgot about that. Could possibly get Brad Lambert there if he falls, or even a guy like Maddox Fleming. So I think, like I said, a pretty good first year there for the Seattle Kraken expansion team. Luke Kudin, our leading playoff scorer, 8 points, 9 games. We'll take a quick look at the playoff tree. We'll see, was it Florida, Vancouver possibly in the final? And, oh no, it was Florida Ducks, and they swept them. The Ducks swept the Canucks. Okay, so weird. The Ducks almost went back-to-back. Like, at least they made back-to-back cups. Panthers there beat the Leafs, Sabres, and then they swept the Penguins. The Panthers were just a force this year. Again, really weird, last 3 teams to win the cup. Take a look at the individual awards. We know Sagan got the Art Ross. He also got the Hart. Dougie Hamilton won the James Norris. I was going to say, how could he not? Carlson, though, got the Lady Byng. Interesting. Perfetti Calder, good for Vegas. Good for him. Barkov, Conn Smythe, Matt Murray, Vezina, and then William Jennings. Okay, so in this, Pittsburgh holds on to Murray. The expansion draft I took to Smith because I figured by that point Pittsburgh would have either traded Murray or Jerry. Doughty, though, Bill Masterton, interesting. I think because LA wasn't that good, right? Chicago coach Jack Adams, O'Reilly, 4th straight Selke. Even when St. Louis finishes last in the league, he gets a Selke trophy. Sagan also got Ted Lindsay, and then Ovi and Sagan actually split the Maurice Richard. So overall, I think pretty good year there for Seattle. I think I mentioned it in the mock expansion draft video. They're poised to have a pretty good team, and they have 30 picks there. They can then flip some pieces for picks, for prospects, and also set themselves up nicely in the future as well as the current season. So very interested to see kind of what Seattle does here. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch next summer. But that's going to be it, guys, for this video. If you did enjoy it, leave that thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.